Today, we're debuting the real TV commercials we filmed in California and sharing the story behind how it happened. So stick around because it's pretty fun. Some of it might surprise you. Welcome to the Downsized. I'm Christopher Durham.
And I'm Lorraine Durham. Thanks for being with us here today.
Today's a little special. We're debuting a few new commercials we recently filmed out in San Francisco.
If you're new to our story, the downsize really started with the two of us, two people who are just tired of feeling stuck. GLP-1s gave us a tool that changed everything.
Since starting on GLP-1s, I've lost 103 pounds. I reversed health problems. I have energy again. And for the first time in years, I feel like I'm living, not just surviving.
And for me, I've lost 54 pounds. It was honestly a surreal experience to go from filming videos in our home to flying out to California and being part of something like this.
Before we get into it, we want to be completely upfront. Mochi Health has been a sponsor of the Downsized, and we currently have a legal sponsorship contract with them that runs through the end of June. The contract covers these commercials and our upcoming Downsized at Sea cruise, which is presented by Mochi. If you'd like to learn more about the cruise, you can go to our website, thedownsized.org, and get more details. After a lot of thought, we've made the decision that once our current contract with Mochi ends in June, we will not be moving forward with any GLP-1 focused telehealth or compounding pharmacy sponsorships. Now, some of you asked questions about this when we said it the other night on the live. We will continue to use GLP-1s. We will take our shots every week. We will continue to do this channel. The challenge of telehealth and compounding pharmacies right now is just there is so much scrutiny on it that there's only going to be more drama. And we don't really want to talk about the drama. We want to talk about GLP-1s and how they help you and build community.
It wasn't an easy decision, but it's the right one for where we are and where we want the downsize to grow from here. And just to be clear, these commercials were filmed before the Akata shutdown, before the recent customer service and product delivery issues, and before the Eli Lilly lawsuit against Mochi.
Our conversation today isn't about Mochi, though. We're not here to argue or debate the lawsuit or anything else. The director and crew in San Francisco did an amazing job capturing our story, and today we just want to share that experience with you.
And, we'll also say, please don't blow up the comments with debates about Mochi. This isn't what that's about. There are valid concerns, but this isn't the place for that today. Today's about our story, our community, and the hope GLP-1s have given us.
And before we go any further, just a reminder, we're not doctors. We say this all the time, so you hear it. We're simply sharing our personal experiences using GLP-1 medications to treat the disease of obesity. Please always consult your healthcare provider when making medical decisions.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome. Or if you're not new, welcome back. We'd love for you to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our updates, news, or personal stories about life with GLP-1s.
All right, now that we have all that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about what it was like filming these commercials. So let's go back to the story. How did this happen?
Well, we became paid Mochi influencers in December of 2024. And our Mochi manager reached out and said, hey, they're doing something a little bit more in depth, making a little bit more in depth videos. Would you guys be interested in doing that? And I said, sure. So we ended up going through, I don't know, a series of interviews, I guess a couple of interviews. And then we talked to the director that was making the commercial. And I guess they picked us. Yep. And so then they flew us out to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so because people have asked, so what does it mean to be a paid Mochi influencer? So what it means is we've always used, or really not always, but for the last, I don't know, year, basically, we've used Mochi.
Since February 2020.
And we've set our discount code, and that discount code gives you something off and us something off. So that's been in place for a while. When we became influencers, and it's not just Mochi, this is how YouTube, TikTok, social media works in general. Basically, companies pay folks to mention them, right? So you would have heard us do a mention for Mochi. That mention can usually, depending on whether you're, have five followers or 5 million followers, can range anywhere from a couple $100 to tens of thousands of dollars. Ours was more on the lower end, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't influence, they don't control what we say. So they do ask us to mention them in it, but they don't control our news. They don't control any thoughts we have. They don't see the videos before we do them. So it's really just a commercial similar to a commercial on TV. Or for those of you old enough out there to remember shows being sponsored. So Little
Mhm.
Orphan Annie was sponsored by Ovaltine, same sort of thing.
And our videos always say if they include
Mhm.
paid promotion, you'll see that tagline on them. That's just a requirement.
Well, so they reached out to have us come be commercials. We interviewed with the director. We had a Zoom call or a Meet call or a Google Meet or something called like that. And we were like, oh, I don't know. Let's see what happens. And they wanted us to come film a commercial.
So we talked to their stylist about things that we wear, and showed the stylist, via video call and pictures, things that we had in our closet. And so then she also, got some stuff for us from the shoot, which was fun to go and look at what they picked for us. And some of the things in the commercial we ended up wearing our own clothes, and some things were things they picked for us. But that was kind of fun. We got our hair and makeup done,
Yeah.
and
So we flew out, landed in San Francisco, and they had rented a large house in the hills of the suburbs of San Francisco,
mhm.
pool, tennis court, all. And there, I don't know, there was probably 20, 30 people, camera people, makeup people, the director,
Lighting, yeah.
lighting, all kinds of stuff out there. And we spent a full day filming,
Mhm. Yeah, it was a full
which is
full
kind of
day.
crazy because what has resulted is 6 commercials. 3 of them are 30-second long commercials. 3 of them are 15-second long commercials. We'll show you the 30-second ones in a minute. 15-second ones are just shorter versions of the 30-second ones. So there was, I don't know, hours and hours of video they shot.
Yeah, and we gave them some of our personal photos of our families and us as me as a child. I don't think there's any of you in there as a
There's none of
child.
me as a child in there, I don't think, no.
So you really get the full effect. Let's just say a lot of these pictures of me, I kind of was like, oh, they used that picture, but I mean, it really tells the story of how I grew up. So
And for us, as I said, as we said earlier, this conversation isn't really about Mochi. The director was compassionate and listened, and we believe has done a really good job of telling our story. It just happens to say Mochi at the end. It could have been anyone, anywhere. I'd love to have all the footage because if I did, we'd cut you
we
together.
could,
We'd cut you together probably a 2-hour show
yeah,
from it.
montage.
Yeah.
And we never mention any drug names by name.
Mhm.
We don't mention brand names. We don't mention compounding. We do say GLP-1,
Mhm.
and we do say Mochi Health. And
Mhm.
really, that's the only thing that identifies these commercials as anything but our journey with,
So
our
this is
lives
this
and our
is
weight
about our
loss.
lives, and I think they've brought it to be real. I mean, I think it's a good representation of who we are and what I think you guys have seen over the last year on this channel. We'll take in a moment. We'll show the commercials. Um, it's incredibly unfortunate all of the stuff that's happened really the last few months with compounding pharmacies and telehealth and Mochi and all of that. We're proud of these commercials and set aside all of that and just watch these because they're about us. And I'll show you the first one.
The first spot it's titled Durham's 30 Seconds. So it's showing both Christopher and I's journey together as a family.
Love food. I think about food every day.
There's a running commentary in my brain of eating. Before Mochi, my brain never got the signal, you're full, stop eating.
When I first heard about GLP-1s, thought probably the GLP-1s were a load of crap. But then when I started taking these medications, it just gave a relief to that. I still love food, but it doesn't control me. Collectively, we've lost over 150 pounds.
Yeah, so Christopher's cooking in that one. We showed some pictures we had taken a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I spent probably an hour and 2 hours cooking, and it was kind of funny because I was really cooking.
he was really
Like they brought in all this
salmon,
food, and they had asked me
vegetables.
what I want to cook, and I was like, "Well, salmon will look good, and,
Yeah.
and vegetables and all that." And they're watching. And for those of you who know my past, I have worked for grocery chains and things and filmed food commercials before, so this was all kind of bizarre to me that all of a sudden I was on the other side of the camera. And typically, when you film a food commercial, there is food stylists and there's 20 people that just with tweezers move things around on food. No, that's not how it was. Christopher actually cooked this stuff that if you see it, I did it. There was one guy that was very nice and helped a little bit just to make sure I had stuff coming up, but and we filmed and filmed and filmed, and she'd go, "Salt the salt salmon again, salt the salmon again," till we get to the end. They're like, "Can we try the salmon?" I'm like, "It has
Oh,
so
so
much
much
salt
salt.
because we
Yeah.
refilmed it."
It looks so like such nice pieces of salmon. I'm like, oh, I hope we get to eat it, but he just kept cooking it and salting it over and over. And you don't notice me, but I'm actually in the shot, and they're like, pretend like you're texting a friend. So it's me at the end of the counter, just kind of, looking at my phone, and I was actually texting my friend Shelly
Mhm.
while all this was going on in that particular shot.
And
So
these at the beginning, these chatty sort of sections that you can tell they kind of mimicked what we do.
yeah.
They filmed for probably 2 hours, and there
Oh
was
my
a
gosh.
director behind the shroud just asking us
Asking
questions.
us
And we
questions.
just talked not dissimilar from what we do here.
Right.
Now, it was interesting, the comment the director made was that for that we as long form YouTubers had a really good grasp of our story and could talk at length on things.
Yeah, I
I
guess
guess
they had filmed others that weren't, so used to telling their story.
well,
I
there were
guess
I
we've
think they had a lot of TikTokers that were used to
yeah,
telling it in, short
little
bites.
bits instead of our, long form content.
But
So,
I don't remember actually saying any of these stuff.
oh,
It's all
there
just a
were so
blur.
much. I mean, what they picked out to use, and us playing pickleball
Mhm.
at the end, we were actually like, there was a tennis court on this property where we were filming, and, we're doing pickleball back and forth. And at one point, they're like, they don't look sweaty enough. Spray their faces with some water. And the lady comes at me with like spray water, and I'm like dripping. I'm like, oh, this is lovely. But that was like the most fun part, getting the pickleball in there. There was a guy on the other end like pitching balls to us so we could just like hit
And
it
see, that
back
was
to
the
them.
hardest part for me.
Oh, that was
Uh,
fun. I found that like really
well,
fun.
because they wanted us to be really energetic and jumping up and down, and I'm like, "That's not really who I am, so you asking me to act like that, I'm gonna clearly be uncomfortable with this."
And of course, that's exactly how I am.
So
So
if you
it kind of
watch the
worked out.
cut, I'm there kinda hitting the ball, and then she's doing the, "Yay,"
Yay! Yeah,
because
that's how we
it's
are.
it's who she
And then at
is.
the end, the when I'm making the muscle at the end, I had to make that muscle like for about 30 minutes. Like they had me do it, and then they're like, pretend you're taking a selfie. Now do this, now do that, now do that. And I was like, all that. And so it's like I was in the master bathroom of the
Mhm.
house, and it had this huge full length mirror, and all the cameras, like they were shooting. I don't know how they shot it so the cameras were out of the shot, but for a while the cameras were in the shot and I didn't notice because I'm not and then the camera lady was like, oh, the cameras are in the shot, we had to do this all over again. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was making the muscle for hours.
Alright, well, let's take a look at the next commercial.
The next one is just the Lorraine 30-second spot, and it kind of shows me as a little girl and growing up. So
So initially, they were only gonna do one 30-second spot of both of us, and
yeah.
as the day progressed, we get to the end of the day, and they were like, "Well, you both have different stories. Maybe we
Yeah.
could do more commercials for you." And we're like, "Okay." I
All
mean,
right.
we're doing the
We
same
didn't
amount
get
of
paid
work, but
anymore.
yeah.
But they
The
had shot so much footage, they did two of us together, two of me, and then two of Christopher. So here's the long one of me. As a little girl, people would comment that my tummy was sticking out. I've battled my weight my whole life. Then when I had kids, it just kind of got worse from there. My doctor said, you just need to diet and exercise. But I was doing so much exercise that I was getting injured. My Mochi doctor was so understanding. Before GLP-1 medications, I always thought it was my fault. I'm so excited to finally recognize the new me in the mirror. Yeah, so you can see me growing up in my little ballerina outfit. My sister and I took dance lessons as kids, and I loved those costumes, right? The sparkly sequins, and
Mhm.
some of them had gold fringe, and I just love that. And I had asked my mom for some older pictures of me, and she sent me this one, and I was like, Oh my gosh, my stomach. No wonder people used to say that to me all the time. And she goes, "Oh, but you look so cute in your little outfit." I'm like, "Yeah, I love that outfit." So, and you see some other pictures with me going through my life, and it's just kind of like, ugh. So you can definitely see the difference. And it also, talks about I did 2 half marathons, I did 2 sprint triathlons, and I just kept hurting myself. I'd sprained my ankle, I popped a calf muscle, I hurt my back. I was just like exercising myself to the point of exhaustion and not getting anywhere. And then enter GLP-1s, and I don't want to say it was like magic, but because it's
Mm.
science, but it definitely just helped everything after that.
All right, so the final one we're going to show, the third 30-second one, is about me and my story. And I've, told variations of this story many times, so it should be familiar to a lot of you. GLP-1s has been the best decision I've ever made. Both of my parents died young from complications due to obesity. I know what the end game for obesity is. I want to be here, see grandkids someday, and I'm not going to do it at 300 pounds. This medication will change the way you think, and it lets you have this calmness where your whole life isn't controlled by food. So that's the 3 30-second commercials. I mean, for me, Lorraine and I have such different stories on weight loss and family. I probably talked about, I think I cried. I made everybody cry, honestly.
Everybody in the set was like, the set people were crying, the lighting guys crying, the director's guys crying. Like, they were like, oh my gosh, yeah. It was a powerful, sentiment.
Yeah.
We wish that your parents were here and they could have benefited from these medications. So we know that this is genetic. The genetics play a part, and then environment, plays a part. So,
Yeah.
it's just very powerful, very moving. The shot on the commercial where they showed the refrigerator with the picture is Christopher and our 2 girls when they were little on the beach, and I love that picture. I love that picture so much. So,
and there's a shot there from our wedding, my mom and dad.
Yeah. So that was 22 years ago.
Yep.
So yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I really like how these commercials came out.
Yeah.
I think they're very powerful. They definitely show our journey and, things that we've thought about along the way, and things that, that I've done along the way. So you might see them,
Yeah.
on streaming services, especially, I think is where they're living.
I think Paramount, Hulu, something like that is where they're
Yeah.
living primarily. I don't know that they'll end up on major TV, and with all the brouhaha around compounding and Mochi and all that, who knows?
Who knows where they'll end up?
Yeah, who knows? I have no earthly idea.
Yeah.
But
if you see them, let us know.
If you see them, please let us know. And
out in the wild.
And to be clear, we're going to keep going doing this channel. We're going to keep taking our shots. We're going to keep talking to you guys. We're going to keep building this community. We're not done. We will continue to do all the things, because GLP-1s have helped us stay healthy and strong and focus on living the life that we want.
Yeah. And, we're grateful to the amazing team in San Francisco that helped bring this to life. They were really fun to work with. It was a great experience. And I'm glad we did it. I really am.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our TV commercials. I was kind of happy with them. So would have been a lot better if all the drama hadn't happened. And, we will certainly talk about that more in the future. But today, we got to go film commercials with a director, a filmmaker who did documentaries. She did a documentary about J-Lo, right?
About J-Lo, right. We got the stylist, and she also did our makeup, and I was talking to her, and, she was talking about she'd been in this business for a long time. I said, oh, what's the most famous person you've ever done the makeup for? She goes, oh, I knew you were going to ask me that. And her answer was Robin Williams. And I really thought that was cool, right? So it was just really fun to meet them, and we had a great time. So I'm glad that we did it.
We were excited to tell our stories and hopefully, bring a little more light to the real people that are actually using these medications. People like you guys out there, we hear your stories every week. And I think the more the stories get out there, the better it is for everybody. The more people understand this impacts real people and this is a disease, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah, because obesity is a disease. It's not your fault. And these GLP-1 drugs are tools
Yeah.
to help the disease. They're not cures, they're tools that you can use, just like driving your car or using air conditioning. So why wouldn't you if these tools are available, right?
Yep. So that's our TV commercials. We're excited to show them to you. If not a little bit anxious, because of course they're Mochi commercials, and what do you say? How do you say it? And there's just so much drama going on right now. But at the end of the day, we decided they did a great job
They
telling
did
our
a great
story.
job, and they're out there. People have been telling us that they've seen them
Mhm.
on different streaming services. So we wanted just to post them here for y'all, our viewers and our watchers, so you can check them out. So let us know what you think, as long as it's good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. But anyway, yeah, you can also check out our website at DOWNSIZED.org. And we've got a lot of neat stuff on there. You can sign up for our email list. We hope you'll like and subscribe to our
Yeah.
channel because we put out videos
Every
day, thanks to Christopher Durham. So I hope that you will watch them.
My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Lorraine Durham.
We're the Downsized.